practicing electrologist for about 40 years, teaching for about 35, and presently still semi-retired, but still practicing electrology.
Nice. Thank you very much. Lacey Keeney, would you like to introduce yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, it took a minute for it to unmute. My name is Lacey Keeney. I am the owner of Willamette Valley Aesthetics and Electrolysis in Eugene, Oregon. We are a major insurance. We take acceptor, I guess you'd say. Or I practice most of my electrology under anesthetization, considered to be basically like surgical electrology because we have someone put under anesthetization. Do a lot of cosmetic electrolysis as well. About 90% of my patients are either in the transgender or polycystic ovarian syndrome area, but I do a lot of cosmetic electrolysis as well.
Thank you, Lacey, very much. Well, I'm very excited to have all of you on this committee, and it just is just a wealth of knowledge from all of you. And so thank you for taking the time to be on this committee. And again, we couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate your time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to just go through the materials that you were sent. Can it? Okay. I don't think that's working. Am I sharing the screen?
Which one you did that here? That wasn't. Oh, stop it. Present. You go to share. What document are you trying to share?
I want to share my screen.
What document do you want to share? Do you have the document open?
It is.
Coming up over here? You have 7 documents open in Windows. So pick one.
Here we go.
There you go.
All right.
Now
Now it is sharing?
yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. Okay, so we will go over the agenda. Today we are going to discuss the education comparison chart, other states and programs education, and then we are going to review the electrology curriculum. There are 2 options on the table, the 500-hour curriculum and the 600-hour curriculum. And then we're going to have a working lunch. And then we're going to go into the electrology training programs. And again, there are 2 options on the table, the 500-hour and the 600-hour. We're going to have a break, and then we're going to review other states and programs examination information. And then we're going to talk about next steps, recommendations to the rules committee, the rules schedule timeline. So we're going to start out with a first state education comparison. So basically what this is it shows what the current electrology curriculum entails in regards to business operations, organ laws and rules, anatomy and physiology, microbiology, safety, safe usage of devices and federal regulations, electrology services, electrology devices, and talks about the total procedures and the total practical hours and the total theory hours. And so you'll see that the total practical hours currently are 365, and the total program hours, the total theory hours are 235, with the total program hour requirement of 600. And the total procedures are not specified. So I'm actually going to start. So then here is the 500, the second column is the 500-hour recommendation. The third column is the 600-hour recommendation. And then there was a comparison with California, Utah, and then cosmetology, aesthetics, body piercing, and tattooing. And the reason that I added those 3 in there is because they also have training programs that include business operations, Oregon laws and rules, and the anatomy and physiology and microbiology. So I wanted you to see what other programs we're doing as well. And then with the California electrology and again, the other programs, it gives you a total of program hours as well as theory hours and practical hours and procedures. And then below, it gives you the state hours for each of the the total hours for each of the different states. And I'm going to ask a question real quick. Is somebody monitoring hand? April, will you monitor the hands if somebody has their hand raised, please? Okay, that'd be great. All right. So I'm going to put this right on the table. One of the things that I have gotten is a lot of opposition to a 500-hour program. And so we do not waste this committee's time. I'm going to put that right out for vote in regards to the opposition of a 500-hour program. And I want to support that before we have discussion and a vote on that. One of the things that has been mentioned is the reciprocity factor, and going back, the reason why the 500-hour program was put together is because it was brought up at the 2021 meeting as an option of moving forward. But I also want to say that California and Utah do not have reciprocity if it is not equivalent to the 600-hour program. And Sheila had also sent me some information in regards to statutorily way back in, and let me go pull that document up. Hang on. I'm sorry, what? Yes. Let me go to my inbox. She was sent to me. Well, Sheila sent me the apprenticeship information, and can you all see this? Can you see this, Sammy?
I cannot because I'm a call-in. That's okay.
My comparison on my email? No. No, that's why I wanted to share my screen. Okay. Hang on just a second.
Go back to your, there. Share. Are you not sharing what you had before?
Well, I want to share my screen, so anything I pull up.
But it's a document you're sharing. So each time you want to change the document, you have to go to the new document.
Bear with me while I work on this computer and trying to share. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. So Sheila had sent me some information in regards to apprenticeships in other states. Here, I'm gonna increase it. that better, Sammy? All right. Lacey,
Yes, sir. I heard my name said. Am I still connected?
Whoever's talking, yes, we can hear you.
vote if there's any opposition in regards to even discussing a 500-hour program. So I'm going to go through the list. Audrey Jones.
Can you state what your question was again, Cynthia? I think I missed the first part.
Yes, so basically what I want to know if you're opposed to moving forward with a 500-hour program.
I am not opposed.
Okay, Jamie Bloom.
Yeah, this is Jamie Bloom. I am opposed to a 500-hour course because I want to make sure that we have reciprocity with many other states. And as you can look on the list, most of them are 600 hours.
Sheila Ahern.
I'm opposed to the 500-hour for the same reasons, as well as the history of 600 hours from the time we were relicensed in '87.
Danielle.
I'm also opposed to the 500-hour. I believe we should be able to offer reciprocity.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia Mendoza.
I'm also opposed to 500 hours for the sake of the people obtaining their license in the future if they want to go somewhere else.
Thank you. Lacey Keeney.
I'm also opposed to the 500-hour for the same reason has been previously said. I think it'd be a disservice to the individuals to be able to have a license that has reciprocity in other states.
Perfect. Thank you all very much. And so what we're going to do as we move forward with the review of these documents, we are going to take the 500-hour recommendation off the table for both this curriculum and the training program. Okay. So we are going to move through the documents. Did anyone have any comments? Or anything that they wanted to say in addition to this? No? Okay, moving forward. So we will just move right down to the 600-hour curriculum. Let me get there. There's quite a few pages. Okay. So this is the recommended core curriculum for the 600-hour program. And within the curriculum, it has procedures, operations, and hours, curriculum requirements, knowledge and performance, areas of knowledge, theory, instruction, instructor demonstrations and guided practice information, practical operation requirements, and safety and infection control requirements. It contains business operations, organ laws and rules, anatomy and physiology, microbiology, safety, safe usage of devices and federal regulations and standards, electrology services, electrology devices, and electrology procedures. So the requirements include 600 hours, 200 hours of theory, 400 practical hours, and 400 completed procedures. The chart below is used as a guide in the development of your school's curriculum. And so it shows that for business operations, we have 15 hours of theory. For organ laws and rules, we have 20 hours of theory. For anatomy and physiology, we have, which includes histology of the skin, histology of the hair, endocrinology, and general anatomy, 60 hours of theory. Microbiology, which includes bacteriology, has 5 hours of theory. Safety, safe usage of devices and federal regulations and standards, safe usage of devices, federal regulation of standards, electrical safety and first aid has 10 hours of theory. Electrology services, including treatment of the skin, hair removal procedures, product knowledge and chemistry for products and chemistry, implements and tools, 30 hours of theory. And then it talks about electrology devices, the machines, the electrolysis galvanic, the thermolysis, the manual and the flash, and the combination of the electrolysis and thermolysis, the blend, 20 hours of theory in each of those areas. And then we go to the procedures, and one procedure is 1 practical hour, and 3 of each type of procedure must be instructor demonstrated for a total of 12, and then 40 hours of each, the electrolysis, thermolysis, manual, flash, and the combination of, and then 228 procedures of choice for a 600-hour program. Does anyone have any comments in regards to that? No? Okay.
Sheila has her hand up.
Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Sheila.
I can't remember from the previous RAC committee if these were the same hours or these were the numbers we came up with at that meeting. I think there was some discussion about whether the galvanic electrolysis needed to be the same number of hours as the others because it's not used quite as frequently. There is a new machine out that Clearblend has that is a different spin on single needle galvanic that's faster than it has been in the past. So if that's included with some of the schools, carry that equipment and could do that, would take up some extra time, but otherwise I just didn't know if this was the number we agreed on, or if we had decided that it should be reduced a bit. And if it was to be reduced, I was thinking if it was any number of hours take away to be either 20 or 30, it could add it to the procedure of choice numbers to still make up the 600, or it would be the 400 for that part. I mean, I'm willing to listen to anything else that anybody has to say.
Well, I'd like to answer your question. I'd like to answer your question, Sheila. So yes, there were several recommendations on the table, and it went from 20 to 75. And so this was basically a happy medium, a good compromise in regards to the number of hours for each of these different areas.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And someone else has their hand up? Nope, that was it. Okay, perfect. We'll just move forward. So basically, what this does is just explains the curriculum in regards to content in specific areas of knowledge and performance. For performance in the field of electrology, a student will receive the theory instruction, instructor demonstration, and guided practice. The theory instruction must be completed prior to the student performing the required procedures, and may be taken at an approved online distance program. And this is not something that we had discussed before, but this is, in a sense, the norm now due to COVID. And in addition to that, actually, it was moving forward prior to COVID through the Higher Education Coordinating Commission with just, keeping in line with everybody's lives and what the schools could support in regards to the student time being there. It just was very helpful for everyone involved. And so that is something that was added here. And then this talks about a minimum of 3. Each type of procedure must be instructor demonstrated prior to the student performing the required practical operations under direct supervision, which is identified right here in the curriculum itself. Please note the safety and sanitation, infection control requirements and knowledge are applied as part of each and every procedure and not specifically broken out into its own subject area with the minimum hours. A general rule of thumb is 10% of the student's time would be spent during each electrology procedure conducting safety and infection control practices. So this is the curriculum content and objectives. So it supports, and I'm just going to go back up. Basically what this is a very detailed list covering all of these subject areas. So business operations, understand all aspects of business practices and operations, including city, state, and federal regulations. Talks about legalities and the ethics, emergencies, and service refusal. It goes into insurance, self-coverage, malpractice, the different types and legal costs and contracts. It talks about contracting as a provider with medical insurance companies, establishing yourself as a provider, tax identification, credentialing, the non-practitioner identification, the Department of Medical Assistance Program, and the Oregon Medical Provider Application. Talks about the Oregon Health Plan, billing, commercial insurance, self-funded work pay plan, record keeping, HIPAA compliance, goes into taxes, record keeping, the forms, what you need to write off, and reporting, regulation in regards to business registration. Sheila, did you have a question? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, Sheila, you're on mute. Oh,
It goes back to the curriculum requirements, so if you want to finish what you're doing and go back, ask my question later. I can ask.
Do you want me to go up? Is that what you?
No, back. I just thought when you were reading the knowledge and performance, it reminded me that when you were the instructor doing the procedures, the number of hours about 1 hour equaling a practice hour, 1 procedure equals 1 practical hour. I mean, that makes some sense, but when you've got someone doing, like Lacey might be doing 3 hours on someone, and somebody else might be doing, a little touch up on the corners of the mouth or eyebrows, it might be 15 minutes. I think that Lacey's going to get cheated if her 3-hour procedure is only considered 1 hour because it is a procedure.
So that's just kind of a rule of thumb, and that's what the committee had determined at the last. And for example, if you're going, if you're only doing an eyebrow for the 15 minutes, but then you're going to do another one for 3 hour, it kind of blends itself out or equals itself out. And so basically you're going to get time for time in regards to the number of practical hours that you actually put out there. And also the procedure. So you do a procedure, it's considered a procedure. If you only do the 15 minutes on the procedure, you're gonna count the 15 minutes. If you do 3 hours on the procedure, you'll get the 3 hours on the procedure.
That makes sense. Just at face value, it didn't look equal.
Yeah, it's kind of just and then also when you start new, it takes you longer, and at the end, it takes you less time. It's just an average, something to kind of base it off of, just as in general. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cynthia, did you have a question?
Can I get back to you in just a minute? I have to work with some people here for just a second.
Yeah, that's fine. Sheila, can you take your hand down? Thank you. Okay, so we'll keep moving forward. Get back there. I was under tax, okay. Under regulations for business registration, corporations division, any city, county, state, and federal regulations, license requirements, and other that may come into play. We talk about bookkeeping, the options, supplies, client records, financials, record keeping, marketing and advertising, inventory and stock, the business structure, fees, client services versus business operations, planning and scheduling, client contact, and then job search. Did anyone have any questions? Oh, we've got Cynthia, are you ready? Jamie? Oh, I think Jamie's locked up. Okay, and Cynthia's not ready, so we're just gonna move forward. So for Oregon laws and rules, understand the Oregon revised statutes and Oregon administrative rules governing the practice of electrology. And then it lists all the sections within the rules in regards to the HLO, their powers and duties, the board's members and terms, definitions, authorizations, applications, examinations, temporary licensure, renewal, posting requirements, client services, standards and prohibitions, fees, penalties, and violations. And then it goes into the anatomy and physiology, understand the anatomical structure of the human body, and the biomechanical, physical, and biochemical functions and activities of the human body. For histology of the skin, melanin, skin diseases and disorders, structure of the skin, histology of the hair, the growth, general anatomy, bones, muscles, nerves, and systems. Then we go into the microbiology, understand the nature of various microorganisms, their functions, and their relationship to diseases and disorders. We talk about viruses, immunity, parasites, and bacteria. And we go into the safety, safe usage of devices and federal regulations and standards, understand safe work practices, safe usage of devices, electrical safety, and federal regulations and standards for use of infection control methods, safe usage and devices, federal regulations, just defines those further in regards to the FDA, the OSHA, the EPA, the CDC. We talk about electrical safety for overload and short circuits, safety measures and fire safety. We talk about first aid, the bleeding, the wounds, the burns, the choking, the eye injury. And then we go into the electrology services, understand the elements of analysis and appropriate documentation, and the effectiveness and benefits of the treatments and tools, techniques, preparations, positioning, and finishing steps for the electrology procedure. We talk about the treatment of the skin, the client consultation, client records, the analysis, the skin treatments, and the referral to a physician. Then we talk about the product knowledge, the pre-service products, the antiseptics, and the aftercare products, the astringents, the aloe, cold compress, and any other aftercare products that may be used. We talk about the the chemistry, the pH and the pH scale, water, and then the product chemistry. Then we talk about implements and tools, the items, the magnification, the probe, the tweezers, the machines, the drapes. Then we talk about the devices in the machines, understanding the devices, the methods used, and the resulting reactions during the process for the electrology procedure. For the electrolysis, the anaphoresis, the cataphoresis, and we talk about methods, the single needle, the intensity, and the milliamps, and then we talk about the timing. Then we talk about the multi-needle, the intensity, and the milliamps, and then the timing. And then we talk about machine characteristics for the digital and the analog. Then we go into the thermolysis, the manual and the flash. Talk about the methods, the manual and the intensity, and the level of current on the machine. We talk about the timing. Then we go into the flash, the intensity, and again, the level of current on the machine and the timing. And then the machine characteristics, the digital and the analog. And then we go into the combination of the electrolysis and thermolysis. And then we talk about the methods and the various types of the blend methods, and the intensity and the level of the current, and then the milliamps, and again, the timing, and then again, the machine characteristics. Then we talk about the probes, the types, the insulated, non-insulated, gold, tapered, the one piece, the two piece, the K shank versus the F shank, and then the selection of the probe based on the modality and the body area. We talk about the insertion and the depth and the angle and the techniques, the displacement, and then we go into the procedure itself, perform the guided electrology procedures, applying methods learned while using safe work practices and safety and infection control methods for each procedure. And that is what we have for the curriculum, which is, I believe, very comprehensive and covers a lot of areas. Go back up. Sheila, did you have a comment?
I do. I have a couple of things. This is very thorough. I think it looks great. Under electrology services, in the beginning paragraph, you mentioned positioning, but I don't really see where it's referred to later on. It could be part of skin treatment, you know, how we able to see the skin well, but I just wonder if it shouldn't have a place in there. And then under implements, are you including lighting under magnification?
Hang on, my pen isn't working. I'm writing notes here.
Okay.
Let me go back up here.
It's item 6, page 5.
I'm looking on here. Oh, there we go. So we could add lighting after this, Sheila, and then on positioning, we could add it. I think it might be its own little area as a 6.3. So, and then the other thing, you know, I just.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I
it's
think, go
kind of
ahead.
standalone. I think you're right about that.
Well, and I think the other thing that now that you pointed out that positioning, Sheila, I think the other thing that we need to have in there is also stretching of the skin. So what I'll do is I will add that lighting under the magnification on the items, and then I will also put another section in there for positioning and then skin stretching. Okay? Is that okay? Is everybody?
Yeah, either that or in my section again about insertion. It's part of the, where is that section? I lost it. Oh, okay.
Oh, down here under the probe,
Insertion of,
depth and angle.
yeah, it's something we do to make a good insertion. So it's whether it needs to be mentioned or not. I think it would be understandable that it would be part of it under the insertion, but if you wanted to highlight it, I think that'd be a good place to put it.
So what you're saying is right here under 7.4.3, you want me to add a subsection for positioning and skin stretching?
Okay. Yeah.
Or no? I think that's just in regards to the probe itself. I think if you're going to do positioning and skin stretching, it kind of needs to be its own section. Because this is just the 7.4 is related to the probe itself.
7.4.1 is, but the actual procedure starts with what we do in 7.4.3.
Okay, perfect. I will add it there.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to add the positioning and the skin stretching on the 7.4.3, and then I'm going to add the lighting under the, go back up there, under 6.2.3.1. Okay?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so Sheila, if you unraise your hand, and then we're going to go to Cynthia Mendoza. Are you ready? Nope. Okay. Lacey,
Yes,
did
I'm
you?
back.
Oh, you are. Okay. Did you have a comment?
Yes. First of all, my first comment is about the required number of procedures, and a procedure is worth an hour. I really feel, with all my years of training students, that that's a very bad idea. One, it's going to start students falsifying information and just taking 15-minute appointments so that they can get the numbers done, check off. I personally have found that it became a better idea to require certain areas that they have to at least have a procedure done on, so it gets them familiar with different body areas. With the exception, I don't feel it should be a requirement to do personal areas, such as the groin area. But the required number of procedures, I feel, is a very bad idea. I also feel that the hours under galvanic is still too much. It doesn't play into what is really going on in the work today. It should be cut in half to 20 hours, and those 20 hours allocated to the thermology and the blend. The other thing that I have found that is, let me get my notes. I also, in the curriculum, don't see causes of hair growth / endocrinology. The only way you could find it is if it was under systems, but under systems, that could mean, oh, we're just going to outline the different systems of the body and a brief definition of it. And it's really important that the students study the causes of hair growth and endocrinology type conditions that could cause excessive hair growth.
So,
And then it's, go ahead.
hang on just a second, just so I just want to follow and take it slow here. So I am, bear with me while I get up there here, just a second. So what you're recommending is this, the galvanic be reduced in half and it be added to the manual and the flash on the thermolysis and the combination, separated out into that. Is that what I hear you saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, very good. Okay, so what I would like to do on that is, before we move forward, I want to take a vote on that. So, is anyone opposed to reducing the galvanic to 20 and separating those 20 out into the manual flash and the blend? And I'm gonna go with Audrey. Are you opposed to that?
Not opposed.
Jamie Bloom? Jamie? Is Jamie still with us? I think we've lost Jamie. April, can you call Jamie? Okay, we're gonna try to get Jamie back on. Sheila, are you opposed? I can't hear you.
Sorry. Not opposed to reducing the hours. I don't know about the division being quite fair. I just doing a manual thermolysis getting and flash getting any of that.
I'm sorry, what?
Dividing it only between manual thermolysis and blend doesn't, it kind of cheats thermolysis and flash, considering so the more computerized machines have a lot of different flash choices these days. That so I mean I'm in the middle. I think we should reduce the galvanic, and I'm up for other people's suggestions on the split.
Okay, so you are not opposed. So you're not opposed, but you want to discuss in regards to where they go. So I will note that and we will come back to that. Danielle?
No, I'm not opposed to reducing galvanic.
Okay, and Cynthia, we will say. And then Lacey?
I'm not opposed either.
Okay, and Jamie's back on.
Did you get me?
Hang on. Yes, I did. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
sorry.
Hang on just a moment.
All right, I'm really sorry. Something happened on my computer, and I left you where Sheila was talking about hours for procedures. Did I miss anything, or are you just going to continue on? I'm by phone now. I'm trying to hook on to the meeting. I just don't know what happened.
So actually what we're doing, and I am going to move back. Cynthia, I need to get, and I will explain to you in just a moment, Jamie, where we're at. Cynthia, I do need officially a vote from you. Cynthia? Cynthia, are you there? Okay, we're going to move forward with Jamie until Cynthia comes back. So Jamie, where we're at is in regards to electrology procedures. And what we are doing is we are reducing the 40 hours for the electrologist galvanic in half. And we are dividing it between manual flash and the blend. So at this point, we're taking a vote. And so are you opposed to reducing the, sorry, are you opposed to reducing the galvanic in half and separating out between the manual flash and the blend?
No, I think that's a really good idea. So I am for doing, reducing the galvanic and splitting it the way you just said. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jamie. And then Cynthia,
You're
are you
welcome.
there?
Yes,
Lacey-
I'm back again.
Okay, very good. I need to get a vote from you. Are you opposed or in favor of reducing the galvanic by the 50% and dividing them between the manual flash and blend?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. And thank you. And then if you could put your hand down, Cynthia, that would be great. And then Lacey, did you have a comment?
It was about stuff that we were talking about further on about the curriculum, but we went back to the hours, so it doesn't really refer to the hours, but I'll wait till we go further on forward, I think, till it comes back up again maybe, and I'll try then. How's that?
That would be great. And so thank you very much. And then if you could take your hand down, and then I want to say that the motion has passed with that vote.
5
And then
times necessary.
thank you. And then Sheila, did you have a comment again?
Yes, the vote wasn't quite equal. We started out just voting on reducing the galvanic, and then when Jamie came in, and I commented about Cynthia's comment of dividing it to manual and blend, and then when Jamie came in, you mentioned adding the flash in. She voted on that, and then when Cynthia came in and heard that all three were there, she changed her vote, which her original proposal was to divide it up, and she voted negative on that. So I think we got mixed up in our voting, and I
don't believe that we did, Sheila. I think I was very clear in regards to reducing the electrolysis galvanic by 50% and dividing those hours into the manual flash and blend.
The first
That's
few
what the
voted,
vote was.
the first few voted only on reducing, and
Audrey and Jamie.
not Audrey, it was Audrey and Lacey, I believe, who voted before Jamie came in.
Okay,
Forgot.
so
Hi there.
I will.
Cynthia, can you repeat what you just said? I didn't hear you. This is Audrey.
Yes. Okay, so Audrey, what the vote is taking electrolysis galvanic, reducing it by half, and taking those hours and splitting them between manual flash and the blend. Are you opposed or for?
I am opposed to just splitting it between manual and blend. I think if anything, it should be evenly distributed if possible, or added to the procedures of choice. But I'm okay with it being split in half to 20.
So you are opposed?
Yeah, opposed to it being the manual and just blend.
So the manual, the flash, and the blend is where the 50% reduction will be applied.
Okay, so it'll be evenly distributed amongst manual, flash, and blend?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Are
then
you opposed or in
opposition.
favor?
I'm in favor.
You're in favor, so you're not opposed, okay? And then,
Thanks, Cynthia. Sorry about that.
no, you're okay, that's okay. Lacey?
Yes. I'm here.
So I just want to make sure that you understood what the vote was, and in regards to the reduction of the 50% and dividing it equally between manual, flash, and blend. Are you opposed? Or are you
I'm still, I'm okay with the lowering the galvanic and applying it to the thermolysis or blend. I would go either way, or applying it to a thing of choice. So I just don't think that galvanic needs 40 hours. So I'm good with it. Yes.
So you're in favor?
If that
Okay,
makes any
perfect.
sense.
Okay,
Okay.
so the motion passes. Perfect. Okay. So then, good with that. And then one of the other things that Cynthia brought up was in regards to actually labeling the one procedure equals one practical hour. So I believe that if we just take that out, then you have the minimum number of hours and the minimum number of procedures. So that, as we had talked about earlier, Sheila, it really doesn't matter in regards to the 15 minutes versus 3 hours, because you have to get the number of hours and you have to get the number of procedures. So if I actually just delete this one line, it will cover, I believe, what Cynthia is saying, and it will not confuse anyone in regards to the 15 versus the 3 hours, and we don't have to put that average out there as discussed in the previous. So I'm going to take a vote on that to eliminate that one line. I do down below. So I'm going to take a vote on that. Audrey, are you in favor of just reducing the one procedure equals one practical hour?
In favor.
Thank you. Jamie Bloom? Jamie?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm kind of in favor, but I would like to kind of say that each procedure has to be at least a half hour. If somebody's doing eyebrows only for 15 minutes, there's nothing there to treat. Therefore, I think each procedure should be of a duration of at least a half hour.
So you are in opposition. So your
Yes.
vote is no. Okay. Sheila, are you opposed or in favor of taking the one procedure equals one practical hour?
I'm definitely in favor.
Okay. Danielle?
I'm in favor.
Cynthia?
I'm in favor of reducing that. However, I'm still not in favor of the required number.
That's a different vote. What we're voting is in taking the one procedure equals one practical hour line out.
I'm in favor of that.
You are in favor of that. Okay. Lacey?
So let me get this straight. That means that 1 hour is 1 hour no matter what. Yes?
1
So it
hour
says
is
1
1
hour.
hour. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So that means that each of the hours over here in the hour side, that means that there must be 40 hours of flash and 40 hours of manual and combination, or the hours that apply, so that a procedure can, this no longer means that a procedure can be any amount of time. Is that correct? By removing that line, that just makes it that an hour is an hour, that you have to do 1 hour to get your hours. It can't be gun decked or lowered by any way by saying, well, I did 15 minutes, but that counts as a procedural hour.
So what this is saying is that you have 40 practical procedures that you have to do, and you have 40 hours that you have to do. Well, if these 40 procedures are only 15 minutes a piece, You're not equaling your 40 hours, therefore you're going to have
Right.
to increase your number of procedures to make up 40 hours worth
Exactly.
of practice.
That's what I want. I want them to have to do 40 hours and not be able to figure out a way to lower the hours. I want them to have to do the 40 hours. So if that's a yes, getting rid of that line does that, then I'm for that.
Perfect. So
That
you are
makes
in
sense.
favor. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
yes.
And thank you. That
I
is
just
very,
want to make sure I just want to make sure my vote is the way that it's supposed to be without doing it incorrectly. So
no, thank you for clarifying that. And you are exactly correct. And I think that question really clarified 40 procedures, 40 hours. If you don't,
right.
those 40 hours don't, or 40 procedures don't take 40 hours, then you're going to have to do 65 procedures to make up 40 hours.
Exactly. I think that's what Cynthia was covering. I agreed with her on that, that it can't be negated or degradation of the training by being able to figure out how to get less hours.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
So that motion passes. So, let's see, I think, Cynthia, did you have a comment? No? Okay, does anyone else have any comments in regards to
Sorry about
this?
that.
Did you?
I was having technical difficulty. It's
No,
Sophia
that's fine.
Mendoza.
Did you?
My comment is pertaining to the hours of practicum. The hours of practicum are still too high for the students. We had 365 hours before, and in that time, when they're doing galvanic and electrology and thermolysis, their experiments that they were doing also counted towards that time. And at 365 hours, I found that a lot of students were ready and to graduate prior to that amount of time. So I really think that it should be a 350 hours of hands-on, move 50 hours of that back into the theory, or add a section for practical hours for experimentation. But 400 hours is too many hours on practical work.
So with what you just said, that whole procedures of choice, that's where we had it added from the last time that we met. You wanted to include that procedures of choice so they could practice.
Yes, it doesn't negate the procedures of choice. It just lowers down the hours that are in that section.
Okay. So with the 400 hours, we're going to go back up. Up there.
Cynthia, can I ask Cynthia a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Cynthia, what you're saying is that you feel the student doesn't need as many hours of practical work. I have found, I think it should stay the way it is, but I have found even when a person passes the test and starts working, she really doesn't have the technical skill until about a year after she's practicing. It's like a driving test. You pass the test, but you don't really become a good driver until you're driving a good year or two. So that's just my opinion.
And Jamie, that wasn't a question, but a statement, so I will give you a statement back.
All right.
Yes, and there's a lot of practicing electrologists out there that have been practicing for many, many years that still don't have the skills, in my opinion, that they should have had it at graduating. So that is not something that you can determine. You have to give them what they need to get started, and then every electrologist out there should be endeavoring to get more skills as well as more experience. But the 400 hours is going to be very much a hardship on a lot of students, as well as keeping them engaged and not moaning and groaning about needing to graduate.
All right.
But
I
my
really
that 365 hours was more than sufficient amount of time. So dropping it from the 365 to 350, I think, is not a far place to go. A little bit more of a balance, and that's in my 35 years of actually training students.
Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia. We're going to move forward. Lacey, did you have a comment?
I did. And I just, I would like to say as an electrology practice that's hired electrologists out of different schools, that I agree with Jamie Bloom. I think that the hands-on practical portion should be left to where it is. The one area that I seem to find that a lot of the people coming out of school really seem to be lacking is their actual hands-on performances and the abilities that they've learned in school hands-on. And, that's a lot of stuff that and I think Jamie would agree with me is that as electrologists working in the field, not people, in the school teaching, because I've done both, but the practice of out in the field is that we need students coming out with more hands-on experience, and making it easy on the student isn't our goal here. Making it better for the electrologists in the state to perform what they're doing and do what they're doing well is the goal of this particular meeting we're in right now and this session. So I really agree with Jamie that we should maintain those hours and the amount of hours that we have put in there. That cutting hours short and adding it to curriculum is just a way of degrading the standard that we're trying to set here.
Cynthia, you're on mute. Cynthia, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Lacey. If you could remove your hand, that would be great. And then Sheila, you're next.
Yes, I think part of the problem of the number of procedures you can get done in different areas of the body really depends on who walks through your door when you're at a school, or if you're working with, if you have multiple students at a time, if you have to work on each other. It can be hard if you don't have a flow, and that can vary from day to day. And with our transgender community here, we get a lot of people in because we're all so busy, but a lot of that's all the same kind of work. So the variety can be an issue, So I can see both sides of this, and I'd propose a compromise with 375. If anybody's would want to entertain that.
Okay, well, we're at this point, we're just discussing what your thoughts are on this. And so the vote is, we're going to do a vote. And then, thank you very much for your comment, Sheila. I appreciate it. And then Danielle, you had your hand up at one point. Did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say that I think 400 hours would be better. I think more hands-on is more important because that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your career. And so the more hands-on practice you can get, especially under supervision, is going to be more beneficial.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to take a vote. The vote is leaving the hours. Are you in favor of leaving the hours at the 400, or are you in opposition? So Audrey?
I am in favor of leaving as is.
Okay. Jamie?
Hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm in favor of leaving it the way it is.
Sheila?
I'm in favor of leaving it the way it is.
Danielle?
I'm in favor of keeping it at 400.
Cynthia?
I'm opposed.
Lacey?
I'm in favor of leaving it the way it is.
So the motion passes that we're leaving it the way it is. Thank you. Okay, so Sheila, did you have a question? Oops, you're on mute.
When you're dividing these extra 20 hours in 3 groups, it's not going to come out quite even. Are you, if it's going to be out of balance, would you consider putting that extra one hour that's going to be off into the modality of choice? Or is that just like just a procedural thing that you'd figure it out? You're going to get 66.6 or whatever. So if you divide 20 by 3, you've got 6 hours to put in each manual, flash, and blend, but you've got a little extra. So how do you handle things like that?
So we'll have 2 hours extra, and I can definitely add those to the procedures of choice if you would like.
If you need to take a vote on that, it's fine with me. I think it should be clarified.
I think at this point, I'm just going to say that I'm going to add those 2 unless there's any opposition. I don't think we need to take a vote. I have no opposition. So I'm just going to add those 2 that are hanging out there, Sheila, to the procedures of choice.
Sounds good. Me.
Perfect. Okay, so now oh, hang on just a second. Please bear with me. Not where I'm at. You guys, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a quick 15-minute break, and then we'll reconvene and come back and talk about the training program. All right. So we will reconvene at 11. Let's see, what time is it? 11:48. So I'm going to put the camera off and the mic on mute, and so we will see you at 11:48. Thank you, guys. Yes.
Cynthia, is there, I don't know about anybody else, but I have to leave at 1 o'clock. Is there any way we could not take a break and just keep going?
Well, actually, Jamie, we're going to take a break, but we will be done by 1 o'clock.
All right, fine.
Thank you.